Hello, this particular section is all about formatting, and we're going to divide this whole section into two parts: formatting a document manually for acceptance by Kindle, and then the second part is formatting using some software, and so it's more of an automated version of formatting a document. Simpler, but there are a few fees to pay. Anyway, we're going to start in this video with a manual how to manually format a document so that it's acceptable for Kindle when you upload it. And this is an area that some people quake about, that they worry about, and they sometimes struggle with, and it can put some people off publishing. And I would suggest to you not to think down those lines at all. It's not as hard as you think. And I like to keep things simple. I just want to show you a very simple method of formatting your document so that it's perfectly acceptable for Kindle, and you can do it without any worry at all. Now, we've already touched on this topic as part of a couple of the techniques that we've reviewed earlier, content creation techniques. So you're probably aware of most of it. I just want to bring it all together, wrap it all up in one particular segment in this video or series of videos, so that you've got it as one whole section and you can refer back to it when you need to. So we're after formatting, and we don't want to get into code or anything, and I suggest we just use a simple Word document, and which is available on most PCs and even Mac. Or if you find that you don't have a copy of Word on your computer or Mac, then you can go and locate online here. If we were to type in free version of Word, OpenOffice, openoffice.org, it'll be in your resources, and you can use that program, and it works in pretty much the same way. Okay. Right, so we want to create a document in Word. I want to show you one that I created earlier. I'm going to refer to one of my books that I've created. I suppose it still works within the children's categories. Some tales I put together, ghost stories, and I created a whole series of ghost story books. And in fact, I outsourced the content for these. And I'll show you, might as well show you by example here. I'm going to look at this one, Ghost Stories Book 1. And I created this using a Word document. I outsourced the content. Each story that came back, and there's a collection of 7 stories here, and I used iWriter, and I outsourced 7 stories. Each came back, and each story became a chapter, and that was it. It's just very short ghost story book. And then I went on to create a series of them. And in fact, I will show you exactly what the document looked like when I'd finished formatting it. I create, and we'll go through this in a minute, how to actually set up the document, but I created, just so I've visually got an idea of how it'll look on a Kindle, an A5 size document, so pages running across this way. You've got the title, you've got the author, even though I outsourced it. Table of contents, we'll look at that in a moment. Not all of your children's books will require a table of contents, but should you need to have a table of contents and you need to know how to go about that, then there should be a disclaimer and all rights reserved, a copyright notice, links if you want to other books, not necessary to have them right at the beginning of the book. And here I had an introduction which I wrote, so I did do some content, and then a different chapter, and then one chapter, one lot of content per chapter, and then the end of one story I will go on to a new page. That's quite important. So a new page at the beginning of each new chapter. You don't want to let it just flow on itself. I'll show you how I did this. So here are the stories, and this is how it looked, and when I uploaded this to Kindle there was absolutely no problem whatsoever. It formatted perfectly. So let's take this as an example, this story, and I'll see if we can just show you partly how we put it together, and then you'll be able to follow suit. Let's create, first thing we want is a simple blank Word document. Now what we want to do is strip out any of the invisible formatting. Often there is invisible formatting that's created by any templates that you may have set up or someone else may have set up on your computer. Sometimes you can see formatting by clicking on this icon here. It'll show any formatting that may have been set up, but either way we want to strip it out of any unnecessary formatting. The first thing I want to do is go to page layout, then I select the size, and it's currently set at A4. I'm going to come down and set it up as A5. So we're going to create a sort of, it's about the closest thing you're going to get, I suppose, if you look at it and read it as a Kindle Fire tablet. It's more for your own visual adjustment rather than a necessary necessary part of this setup, but I think it's quite useful to do that. We then want to come into select the Insert tab from your navigation at the top, and we want to remove any header or footer. Now, the header and footers are the sort of grayed out text that you often get, which may have footnotes or appendices or even notices at the top, or sometimes even page numbers at the top, which you can't really edit, but they're there as the footnote and header for each document. So we want to remove the header, and so this what comes up, and down, go to the very bottom and click remove header. Then we move over to the footer and we do the same, come to the bottom, click remove footer. Next we want to remove all page numbers. Now you may think that's strange because you want to have page numbers in your books, but leave Kindle to do that. But if you have page numbers, it just really won't make sense if you preset page numbers in, because think for a minute that people may view your document, your manuscript, on different size screens. So if the Kindle device that they're viewing your document on keeps resizing for the device they're using, it'll mess all your page numbers up. So just let the text flow from one page to the next, and Kindle will automatically add the numbering. So at the bottom here, click remove page numbers. Okay. Now, if you are ever in any doubt that you may have text that you're going to be putting in that has got real problems in terms of pre-formatting, you can just, and I just throw this in as an extra additional tip, you can use a simple editing program, word editing program like Notepad. It's very, very simple. If you put it in to a copy of Notepad, cut and paste text into a copy of Notepad, it'll strip out all the pre-formatting, and then you can just cut and paste back into your A5 document here. But anyway, that probably won't apply to you because you're not going to be writing great screeds, and you're not going to be using old documentation. You're using the content you just created for your children's book. So the next thing we're doing is to come up and insert your page title, and by and large we want to have our page title, we'll come back to home, in the very main title in 14 point, and we want to center the title. All the rest of the text within the book should be 12 point. Okay, so main titles like chapter titles and the heading can be 14 point, but all the rest should be 12 point. I'll just tidy it up a bit here. Take that out there. Now I've put here some words such as this, which is effectively the subtitle, and you don't have to put that necessarily in the title on the page, but I do it just to help with the keyword research, and so that it's picked up by Kindle when people are searching. Okay, now I've noticed that we've got a bit of a gap between the lines here, we want to make sure that the spacing is 1. It's not 1 1/4, 1 1/2, or 2 lines. We want literally 1. Okay, I'm going to center that. Okay. Now at the end of the page we want to put our cursor at the end of the last character, and we want to come up to Insert on our navigation bar here, and we want to click Page Break. Okay, and that'll force a page break, and you do that when you want to create a new page or a new chapter. When you finish some content, you don't just let the text flow on, you actually force a page break, and that'll work. Then it'll actually make sense, and people will be able to navigate far better once it's uploaded to Kindle. So we've got page break. Now normally the next thing you have is some kind of copyright notice, and I'm just going to come over here and we're going to click copyright. Now you can get far more elaborate copyright notices, but for the time being we're just going to literally put copyright reserved, effectively all rights reserved, and we can make it current, and you can actually put your own name. So but you can look for more elaborate copyrights, and if you want to put any disclaimers, this is the place to put that as well, particularly if you're writing about anything medical, or if you're writing about any diets and you want to say that people should consult their doctor for medical opinion before they rely on your evidence, or any disclaimers about earnings. I know we're slightly off the topic for children's here, but it's worth mentioning that this is often the point on page 2. And then page 3, so we'll do put the cursor at the end of the next character, click page break here, and then it'll come on like that. Then normally on the next page, the 3rd page, you would have the table of contents. Now again, with a children's book you might not have a need for table of contents because it's literally just one story, but I'm just showing you how you can do it from scratch. And again, I would make that as a title, 4 point. Incidentally, I've currently got this set at Calibri body. I would suggest that a good font for the whole of your document when you're starting out is Times New Roman. So let's just set that. Alright, table of contents, I'm going to make that bold, remove the italics, and we'll come on to the table of contents in a minute. And then once that's finished, say we've got some table of contents which you may not have here at all, cursor at the end of the last character, then we'll come to Insert, Page Break. We'd start the actual story, and in my case we're looking at an introduction, and I'd cut and copy the text that I have got prepared for the very first chapter, or in this case the introduction if you've written an introduction. Now I've got to do a bit of cleaning up here, because remember we want to have this as not 14, we want to have this at 12 point, and we want it not to be bold, and we want it to be left aligned. Okay, so, and then at the end of that we do another page break and we go on to chapter 1. So Insert, Page Break, and then that would be chapter 1, like that. Again, come back to home, that can be 14 point for a heading, bold, and we can actually center that if we want. So you've got the structure here, but I like to condense the structure right at the beginning for a very good reason. And I think before we get into that and creating the table of contents, we'll move on, we'll finish this video here, and we'll move and create a second video just to finish off this manual method of formatting. So I'll see you in the next video.